Is Xbox working on a Nintendo Switch competitor, something that is truly a hybrid console that you would be able to potentially dock and play your games at home or take them on the go? Well, that is a question that is now being asked because you probably are familiar with the fact that Xbox just held their big business update yesterday in a podcast format. It relieved a lot of Xbox fans' fears about them potentially being right around the corner from going third party with everything, maybe even dissolving Game Pass or not having Game Pass include all of their first party releases. And Xbox really seemed to kind of steer the conversation into a easing into the idea that they are going to release more games on more platforms. We know of 4 right now at this point, and they made a point to say that there will be more in the future, or that they're not going to commit to anything else in the future. They also made a point to say that these games were more than a year old, which might lead into their mindset of just having a year-long exclusivity period for their first party games, and then ones that they really want to push to a mass audience, they may indeed go the PlayStation and Nintendo Switch/Switch 2 route. Now, a couple of the more interesting talking points of this podcast had to do with Xbox referencing new hardware, specifically teasing potentially the most powerful console jump generation to generation yet, and they also said that they would be revealing something or talking about something new hardware related this holiday season. Now, this holiday season seems a little bit quick for their true next gen reveal, but it could indeed be that leaked Xbox trash can style cylinder looking device that we saw that looks like some kind of smart home accessory, Amazon Alexa type of thing, and it's literally like a revision of a Series X with a better Wi-Fi antenna and missing the disk drive. Yes, I do think Xbox will be the first major console manufacturer to go jump in feet first with the all digital movement, but there's also been some outstanding rumors that Xbox is looking into and or actively developing a true hybrid console, something that is more of a handheld experience that you would still have the option to hook up to a TV and play that way, maybe in line with the Series S performance or pricing. And Phil Spencer's been seen liking a lot of tweets referencing the idea of Xbox working on a handheld device. So is this up their sleeve? It's definitely a possibility, and it's an interesting one at that, because if you think back to kind of the history of the video game industry and where we were just a couple generations ago in the Wii era, we saw Sony and Microsoft both try their own hand at that craze of a mainstream success that Nintendo had created. We had the PlayStation Move tacked onto the PS3 and thrown out there with the PlayStation Eye accessory, essentially using those light bars on the end of the Move controllers, which funnily enough were still being used with the PlayStation VR 1 all the way up through the PS4 generation. And then you had Xbox leaning into the Kinect motion tracking, where the camera was just that much more advanced and you're really just making all the movements with your own body at that point. None of those came even close to the success of the Nintendo Wii, clearly, but we saw massive companies in gaming respond to something that was very successful rather quickly. Well, you look at the Nintendo Switch generation that we're in, and following Nintendo's most recent financial briefing, we know the Switch is over 139 million units sold, and I would say at this point you can probably comfortably say that by the time we see Nintendo do a price cut and sell this thing for a couple more years, that it will go on to be the most successful selling video game console of all time in history, period. It just needs to hit over 155 million to knock off the PS2. And while we have had plenty of competition in the handheld gaming space from companies like Valve putting out the Steam Deck, and then of course the Asus ROG Ally, and really a number of different PC handhelds popping up on the scene, not all of them have caught my attention, some of them have. And then we saw Sony recently come out and kind of dip their toe into a handheld device, but making it cloud streaming only with the PlayStation Portal. So you're not running any of your PlayStation games PSP style, but you are having a dedicated device. It's more or less they're treating it like a controller bonus accessory, where it's essentially a DualSense controller cut in half, glued to an 8-inch screen, and you're able to remote play your PS5 games with that device. But that is not a true hybrid console at the end of the day, and these new rumors and reports suggest that that is what Xbox is actually doing, and we might even be able to expect it as soon as the holiday season for a reveal. As you can see, the following article typed up over on The Verge from Tom Warren, which reads, Microsoft teases ultra powerful next-gen Xbox and maybe a handheld. The Xbox maker is working on unique hardware and a big next-gen technical leap. Microsoft is teasing the potential for unique Xbox hardware in the future and a more powerful next-gen console. For previously exclusive Xbox games are officially coming to the PS5 and Nintendo Switch soon, and Microsoft wants to reassure Xbox fans it's still very much invested in the future of its platform and hardware. In an official Xbox podcast today, Xbox President Sarah Bond teased that Microsoft will deliver the largest technical leap with the next generation Xbox. We've got a lot more to come. There's a lot of exciting stuff coming out in hardware that we're going to share this holiday. We're also invested in the next generation roadmap. What we're really focused on there is delivering the largest technical leap you have ever seen in a hardware generation, which makes it better for players and better for creators and the visions that they're building. Speaking to The Verge, Microsoft Gaming CEO Phil Spencer went a step further, teasing that Xbox hardware teams are thinking about building different kinds of hardware. I'm very proud of the work that the hardware team is doing, not only for this year, but also into the future, says Spencer. We're really thinking about creating hardware that sells to gamers because of the unique aspects of the hardware. It's kind of an unleashing of the creative capability of our hardware team that I'm really excited about. Perhaps that unique hardware is an Xbox handheld. Perhaps that unique hardware is an Xbox handheld. We see a lot of opportunity in different types of devices, and we'll share specifics on future hardware plans as soon as we are ready, says Microsoft in an Xbox blog post today. There have been persistent rumors of an Xbox handheld, and Spencer has been liking posts on X that mention the possibility of this hardware. I'm a big fan of handheld, says Spencer. I'm a big fan, but nothing to announce. He does admit that there's still a lot of work to do on the Windows side for handheld gaming PCs. One of the weak points in the experience on a ROG or Lenovo Legion Go is Windows, says Spencer. How Windows works on controller input only on that kind of DPI on a smaller 8 or 7-inch screen. That's a real design point that our platform team is working with Windows to make sure that the experience is even better. So first off, if we do see Xbox actually unveil a hybrid gaming console where you can play in handheld play, I'm very glad to see that Phil Spencer is well aware that the Windows experience today on those handheld type devices is absolutely terrible, because that's the downfall of it. So I would love to see Microsoft do something like a true up Xbox Series X or S dashboard and kind of have that environment standalone for all of your games, and then maybe have like a Windows app, if you would, where it's tucked away as one of your options that you can select to get into full Windows, but you don't have to go through the start menu and try to jump through various different hoops to get different types of games and programs running. If it's a first party Microsoft developed piece of hardware, I think they can control a lot more of the user interface, maybe build a custom version of Windows to run everything that's really seamless, and then still give us the flexibility of having a full handheld Windows PC and all of the applications that come along with that. It would be a nice plus. And I gotta say, as somebody who looks at the value of Game Pass and definitely sees it as a big selling point for me, there's a lot of games that I like to hop into and check out that I'm not necessarily sold on the idea of buying and adding into my collection, that I would also love to see the ability to play portably natively on a device, because while cloud streaming might get there one day for devices, it is not there for me yet. If you're on a great home Wi-Fi network, sometimes you can get by with playing games that don't require pinpoint precision reaction times, but I always still notice the lag, and it really takes me out of the experience. And so I think there's still really a 10-year roadmap where these hybrid consoles can be super successful, and you see the kind of market that the Nintendo Switch has captured this time around. I'm surprised that Sony or Microsoft haven't tried this sooner, and it does sound like Microsoft might be leaning into this. There are some reports that Sony might be doing the same thing behind the scenes right now. So I'm personally all for having an option of a home dedicated console for PlayStation and Xbox, but then them also coming out with that handheld device that can supplement your game library. And, while we might see Game Pass one day make it onto a Nintendo or PlayStation console, I really don't think that's in the foreseeable future. I mean, it could happen if they have some kind of limited version of Game Pass, but both Sony and Nintendo are not stupid. They don't want to lose a portion of all their game sales through their own game stores with the eShop and the PSN store to basically just give that money to Microsoft because they're running Game Pass. There would be a lot of overlap if they were just to release Game Pass how it is on these platforms. Obviously, Microsoft would love that to happen, but I don't think it will happen. So this might be the perfect ticket to one day seeing Game Pass playable on something that's a hybrid device that you can take with you on the go and still have that native on-console gameplay experience. And that's a very exciting prospect to me, but that's really where I want to hear from you guys at this point in the video. Your thoughts and opinions on whether or not we will see this Xbox handheld potentially make it to market one day, And do you think this could be what they're teasing for their holiday hardware reveal, or do you think that's likely like an Xbox Series X revision, that all digital console that we saw leaked as part of the Activision Blizzard merger and everything? And are you like me and you think more competition is better in the handheld space, and you think Sony and Microsoft should eventually throw their hats in the ring for that? And if we do see Xbox launch this handheld, do you think it'll be a smash hit success and attract more users, or do you think it might be something of a flop? So regardless of your thoughts and feelings on everything we talked about today, I do look forward to hearing from you all in the comments down below before you leave the video, as I do look forward to getting a back and forth conversation started with you all around these topics. Go watch the video on screen next if you haven't already. Also make sure you like, subscribe, turn on your notification bell, and I will see you guys in the next video.